Being a Sigma isn't just about quiet confidence or walking your own path. It's about carrying the weight of a reality few ever notice. The world sees the independence, the sharp mind, the refusal to follow the crowd. But what they don't see are the hidden struggles that come with it. While society loves the idea of individuality, it only welcomes it when it fits within certain boundaries. The Sigma personality doesn't fit. It challenges, questions, and refuses to conform. And that comes at a cost. It's not just about being misunderstood. It's about navigating a world that often resists those who won't play by its rules. Most people romanticize the lone wolf mindset, but few talk about what it really means. The isolation, the constant self-reliance, the price of seeing through the illusions that others so easily accept. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain, not to glorify the Sigma way of life, but to reveal the raw, unfiltered truths that come with it. These are the 5 hidden struggles of being a Sigma. Number 1, the weight of seeing too much. Having a Sigma personality often means living in a world where nothing is ever just what it seems. You don't simply hear words, you dissect intent. You don't just observe behavior, you map out patterns. Where others move through life with blissful ignorance, you are constantly aware of the layers beneath, the contradictions, the hidden motives. It's like being given a lens that reveals what's hidden, but with no way to take it off. Imagine walking into a crowded room where conversations flow effortlessly. Others laugh, engage, and enjoy the moment, but your mind instantly starts reading between the lines. You catch the forced smiles, the subtle power dynamics at play, the small but telling shifts in tone when someone speaks to different people. Where others see a friendly gathering, you see an intricate web of unspoken truths, quiet tensions, and carefully crafted facades. History has shown that this kind of deep perception often comes at a cost. Take Niccolo Machiavelli, the Italian diplomat and philosopher of the 16th century. Living in Florence during a time of political chaos, Machiavelli saw through the illusions that others accepted. While many believed in the nobility of rulers, he recognized their true motives, the strategic lies, the manipulations, the hunger for power disguised as virtue. His book, The Prince, published in 1532, exposed these harsh realities. But instead of being praised for his insight, he was exiled. His ability to see too much made him a threat to those in power, proving that society often punishes those who refuse to accept comfortable illusions. For a Sigma, this burden is deeply personal. It's not just about seeing through deception, it's about feeling alone in that awareness. While others move on without a second thought, you are left carrying the weight of what they don't see, questioning whether the ability to perceive the truth is a gift or a curse. Number 2, the frustration of operating outside the system. The Sigma personality is wired differently from the world it exists in. You don't thrive within rigid structures, nor do you seek validation through titles, ranks, or social approval. You operate on your own terms, guided by internal principles, rather than external expectations. But here's the catch. The world isn't built for people who refuse to conform. It favors those who follow the script, not those who rewrite it. In the workplace, promotions often go to those who play politics rather than those who excel. In education, students who memorize and repeat are praised, while independent thinkers who challenge ideas are seen as difficult. Even in social settings, the loudest voice in the room often commands attention, not the one with the most meaningful insights. While others climb ladders by mastering the game, you stand at the edge, unwilling to sacrifice authenticity for artificial success. But this refusal to play along comes at a cost. You may be overlooked for opportunities, labeled as difficult, or seen as someone who doesn't fit the mold. It's not about rebelling for the sake of it. It's about maintaining integrity in a world that often punishes those who think differently. And that's the true frustration. It's not just standing apart, it's knowing that the system resists those who won't conform, even when they bring something valuable to the table. For the Sigma, success isn't about climbing within the system, it's about finding ways to thrive outside of it, despite the challenges. Number 3, the loneliness of self-sufficiency. Independence is often admired, but few truly understand the isolation that comes with it. Being self-sufficient means you don't rely on others for validation, guidance, or emotional stability. You move through life on your own terms, making decisions without waiting for approval, standing firm in your choices without needing reassurance. On the surface, this seems like an enviable strength, until you realize how rare it is to find someone who truly relates to your way of thinking. Most relationships, friendships, partnerships, even professional connections are built on mutual dependency. People bond over shared struggles, leaning on each other for comfort, direction, or motivation. But when you don't need that kind of support, it can create an invisible wall between you and the rest of the world. Others might mistake your independence for detachment, assuming you don't care, when in reality, you simply don't need constant reinforcement. The real challenge isn't avoiding relationships, it's finding relationships that are built on mutual respect rather than unspoken needs. You crave depth, but many connections are transactional. You seek understanding, but most people are used to relationships that revolve around dependency. And so the more self-sufficient you become, the more you find yourself walking a solitary path. Not because you want to be alone, but because few people truly understand what it means to stand on their own. Number 4, the misinterpretation of your intentions. One of the most frustrating realities of having a Sigma personality is how often people misunderstand you. You don't seek validation, so they assume you think you're superior. You don't conform to social expectations, so they mistake your independence for arrogance. You prefer meaningful conversations over small talk, and suddenly you're labeled as distant or cold. The truth is, people fear what they don't understand. Society has created a framework for how people are supposed to interact, smiling when expected, engaging in pleasantries, seeking approval in unspoken ways. When you don't follow this script, it unsettles people. They look for reasons to explain your behavior, but instead of seeing your quiet confidence for what it is, they label it as detachment. Instead of recognizing your need for depth, they assume disinterest. This misinterpretation extends beyond social settings. In the workplace, your ability to think critically and work independently might be seen as a lack of teamwork. In relationships, your need for solitude might be mistaken for emotional unavailability. Even when your intentions are pure, people project their own insecurities onto you, assuming distance where none exists. The challenge isn't proving who you are. It's accepting that most people will never see you clearly. You walk a different path, and because of that, others will try to fit you into a narrative that makes sense to them, even if it's far from the truth. Number 5, the exhaustion of staying true to yourself. From the moment you step into the world, the pressure to conform is everywhere. It's in the way society structures education, shaping students to think within pre-approved limits. It's in workplaces that reward compliance over originality. It's in social interactions where unspoken rules dictate what's acceptable to say, do, and believe. But as a Sigma, you resist these forces, not out of rebellion, but because authenticity is the core of who you are. Yet, carrying this level of authenticity comes at a cost. Every day, you're faced with subtle and not so subtle pressures to fit in, to follow the script, to make yourself more digestible for others. You see people around you bending their values for approval, choosing comfort over truth, and sometimes you wonder, would it be easier to just play along? To nod in agreement when you don't? To pretend you don't notice the flaws in the system? But you know you can't. The moment you betray your own principles, you lose the very thing that makes you different. And that's the real exhaustion, not just resisting conformity, but carrying the weight of knowing that you'll always have to. In a world that rewards those who blend in, Being someone who stands apart means carrying the burden of your own integrity, no matter how heavy it gets.